A German historian named Heribert Illig walks into a library in 1991. He studies documents from the Middle Ages. He notices something strange about the dates. Buildings that should show 300 years of wear look too new. Carbon dating results don't match historical records. Archaeological evidence seems wrong. He starts asking questions. Dangerous questions. Questions that lead to a shocking conclusion. 297 years of human history never happened. We're not living in 2025. We're living in 1728. According to Illig, the years 614 to 911 AD were completely fabricated. Charlemagne never existed. The Holy Roman Empire is a fiction. Hundreds of historical figures, thousands of events, countless documents and artifacts, all fake. Someone added 297 phantom years to the calendar, and we've been living in the wrong century ever since. This is the phantom time hypothesis. It sounds insane, but Illig has evidence. Disturbing evidence that makes you question everything you think you know about history. Illig started with architecture. Byzantine buildings in Europe show a style called Romanesque. This style supposedly developed slowly over centuries. But when Illig examined the buildings, he found a problem. There's no gradual transition. Buildings from before 614 AD and buildings from after 911 AD look almost identical. The 300 years in between show almost no architectural development. This is strange. Architecture evolves constantly. Techniques improve, styles change, materials advance. 3 centuries should show dramatic differences. But Illig found stagnation, as if those centuries never happened and someone just copied earlier styles when they needed to fake the period. Carbon dating revealed more problems. Illig looked at archaeological sites from the supposed early Middle Ages. The carbon dating put many artifacts centuries earlier or later than historical records claimed. The dates didn't match. Either carbon dating is completely unreliable or the historical timeline is wrong. But carbon dating has been validated thousands of times. It works. The method is solid. So if the dates don't match historical records, maybe the records are wrong. Then there's the calendar problem. In 1582, Pope Gregory XIII reformed the calendar. He said the calendar had drifted from the solar year and needed correction. He removed 10 days. October 4th was followed by October 15th. People went to sleep on Thursday and woke up on Friday. But Friday was 10 days later. The official reason was that the Julian calendar, created by Julius Caesar, accumulated errors over time. By 1582, the calendar was 10 days off from astronomical reality. The Pope corrected this drift. But Illig did the math. The Julian calendar accumulates errors at a known rate. From Julius Caesar's time, 45 BC, to 1582 AD is about 1,627 years. At the known error rate, this should create a 13-day drift, but the Pope only removed 10 days. 3 days are missing. Where did those 3 days go? According to Illig, they're part of the phantom time. If you remove 297 years from history, the math works. The calendar correction makes sense. Those 3 missing days represent the time that never happened. Historical records show other problems. Astronomical events are recorded throughout history. Eclipses, comets, planetary alignments. Ancient astronomers wrote down what they saw. Modern computers can calculate backward and verify these observations. We can check whether an eclipse recorded in ancient China actually happened when they said it did. Illig found gaps. Several recorded astronomical events from the early Middle Ages don't match the calculations. Either the ancient astronomers got it wrong, which is unlikely given their accuracy in other periods, or those events were added to records later to fill phantom time. The Byzantine Empire presents another puzzle. Historical records claim the empire continued smoothly from ancient Rome through the Middle Ages. But archaeological evidence shows a collapse. Cities were abandoned. Trade networks disappeared. Population declined dramatically. Then suddenly, around 900 AD, everything recovered. Cities rebuilt, trade resumed, population exploded. This pattern suggests a dark age, a period where civilization collapsed and records were lost. Illig says this dark age wasn't just a decline, it was nothing. Those centuries never happened. The collapse and recovery are the same event, misinterpreted as separated by phantom centuries. Charlemagne is the center of Illig's theory. Charles the Great supposedly ruled the Carolingian Empire from 768 to 814 AD. He united Western Europe. He was crowned Holy Roman Emperor. He built a renaissance of learning and culture. He's one of history's most important figures. But Illig says Charlemagne is too perfect. His life reads like propaganda. Every deed is heroic. Every decision is wise. His empire appears fully formed with no gradual buildup. His palace at Aachen shows architectural styles that didn't exist yet. His coinage uses techniques from later periods. Illig argues Charlemagne was invented by later rulers to legitimize their power. They needed a glorious ancestor. They fabricated him and all the years he supposedly lived in. If Charlemagne never existed, then the entire Carolingian period is fiction. Kings, battles, treaties, all fake. This removes almost 300 years from European history. But why would anyone do this? Who benefits from adding phantom centuries to history? Illig has an answer. The Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II. Otto III ruled around the year 1000 AD. At least that's what the records say. But Illig thinks it was actually around 700 AD. Otto and Sylvester wanted to rule in the significant year 1000. Millennium had symbolic power. Christian prophecy focused on the year 1000. Ruling then gave them religious authority. But they weren't actually in the year 1000. They were in 700-something. So they fabricated 297 years of history. They backdated documents. They invented kings and popes. They created Charlemagne and his empire. They filled calendars with phantom time so their reign would fall in the sacred year 1000. This required massive conspiracy, forging documents across Europe and the Byzantine Empire, creating artifacts and backdating them, building structures and aging them artificially, bribing or threatening scholars and monks who kept records. It would be the greatest hoax in human history. Illig says it was possible because literacy was rare. Few people could read. Fewer still had access to old documents. Monks controlled historical records. If church authorities ordered them to rewrite history, they had to obey. The technology existed to forge documents convincingly. Aging parchment is easy. Copying old writing styles is learnable. Creating fake coins requires skill, but was done. Within a generation, the forged history would become accepted truth. People who remembered the real timeline would die. Children would learn the phantom history as fact. By 1100 AD, even the conspirators' descendants might believe the lie. Critics destroy this theory. They point to Islamic records from the period. Arab historians wrote about events in the 600s to 900s. They recorded battles, caliphs, astronomical observations. These records exist in Arabic, preserved in Islamic lands far from European control. How did Otto III and Sylvester II fake documents in Baghdad and Damascus? Illig suggests Islamic historians might have backdated their records to match European chronology. Or maybe the conspiracy extended into Islamic lands. Neither explanation is satisfying. Chinese records present another problem. Chinese chroniclers meticulously recorded their history during this period. They noted eclipses, comets, and dynastic changes. These records exist independently of European sources. They contradict the phantom time hypothesis, unless the conspiracy was global and somehow reached China. Archaeological evidence contradicts Illig. Tree ring dating, called dendrochronology, provides independent verification of timelines. Trees add one ring per year. By matching ring patterns in overlapping samples, scientists create continuous chronologies going back thousands of years. These chronologies include the supposed phantom period. The trees confirm those years existed. Carbon dating, despite Illig's claims, generally supports traditional chronology when done properly. The discrepancies he cites often involve contaminated samples or improper methodology. Careful studies align with historical dates. Architectural analysis also undermines the theory. While Illig claims no development during phantom time, architectural historians see clear evolution. Building techniques improved, styles transitioned, materials changed. The progression is visible if you look carefully. The calendar problem has a simpler explanation. Julius Caesar's calendar reform wasn't implemented perfectly. Different regions adopted it at different times. The drift calculation is more complex than Illig suggests. The 10-day correction is actually reasonable given all factors. Charlemagne's historicity is well established. Archaeological sites match documentary evidence. His palace at Aachen has been excavated and dated. Coins exist with his image, authenticated through metallurgy. Contemporary accounts from multiple sources describe him. While some propaganda likely exaggerates his accomplishments, he almost certainly existed. The conspiracy required would be impossibly large. Thousands of people across multiple empires speaking different languages, following different religions would need to coordinate perfectly. None could leave evidence of the hoax. None could reveal the truth. This level of coordination seems impossible with medieval technology and communication. Even if the conspiracy succeeded initially, it would need to be maintained. Every generation would need new conspirators. Eventually, someone would expose the truth. Yet no medieval whistleblower ever came forward. No contemporary source questions the chronology. So the phantom time hypothesis is almost certainly wrong. The evidence against it is overwhelming. History happened as recorded. We are living in 2025, not 1728. Those 297 years existed. Charlemagne was real. The early Middle Ages occurred. But Illig's questions are valuable. He forces us to examine how we know what we know about history. How do we verify dates? How reliable are historical documents? How do we detect forgeries? These are important questions, even if his conclusions are wrong. History is constructed from fragments. Documents survive by accident. Archaeological sites reveal partial evidence. We build narratives from incomplete information. Sometimes we're wrong. Dates get corrected. Events get reinterpreted. Figures once thought important fade into obscurity. The phantom time hypothesis reminds us that historical knowledge is tentative. We believe our timeline is correct because multiple independent sources confirm it. Tree rings, carbon dating, astronomical calculations, archaeological evidence, and historical documents all align. When one piece of evidence seems wrong, we investigate rather than assuming centuries are fake. But the possibility of massive historical error is not zero. Smaller phantom times have been discovered. The donation of Constantine, a document giving the Pope political power, was proven fake in the 1400s. It had been accepted as genuine for centuries. History can be falsified. Lies can persist for generations. The difference is scale. Faking one document is possible. Faking 297 years across multiple civilizations is effectively impossible. The evidence required would be too vast, the conspiracy too complex, the probability too low. Heribert Illig published his hypothesis in 1991. It gained brief attention. Some people found it compelling. Most historians dismissed it immediately. Today it survives as a fringe theory, discussed mainly as a curiosity. Illig continues to defend his idea. He's published books and articles. He's refined his arguments. He points to new evidence he claims supports phantom time. But he's convinced almost no one in academia. The theory remains on the margins, a fascinating what-if, rather than a serious challenge to chronology. The phantom time hypothesis shows how conspiracy theories work. Start with anomalies. Every historical record has inconsistencies. Nothing is perfect. Highlight these anomalies. Suggest they're too numerous to be coincidence. Propose a massive conspiracy to explain them. dismiss contradicting evidence as part of the cover-up. The pattern appears in many conspiracy theories. Moon landing hoaxes, flat Earth, ancient aliens, all use the same method: find problems in the official story, magnify them, claim they prove something extraordinary. The difference between a conspiracy theory and legitimate skepticism is whether you accept contradicting evidence. Legitimate skeptics change their minds when shown they're wrong. Conspiracy theorists reject all contradictions as part of the conspiracy. Illig appears to be a legitimate skeptic who reached a wrong conclusion. He examined evidence, he found patterns, he proposed an explanation. But when contradicting evidence emerged, he couldn't let go of his theory. He became invested in being right. This is human nature. We hate admitting we're wrong. We defend our ideas even when evidence contradicts them. Scientists do this too. The difference is science has methods to catch mistakes: peer review, replication, independent verification. These eventually correct errors. History lacks some of these safeguards. You can't replicate the past. You can't run controlled experiments on historical events. You rely on fragmentary evidence and interpretation. This makes history vulnerable to revision and reinterpretation. But it doesn't make history arbitrary. Evidence accumulates, patterns emerge, consensus forms, not because historians conspire, but because evidence points in consistent directions. When new evidence appears, consensus shifts. This has happened many times, but it hasn't happened with the phantom time hypothesis because the evidence supports traditional chronology. So 297 years of history did happen. Charlemagne existed. The early Middle Ages occurred. We are living in 2025. The calendar is correct. The timeline is real. But for a moment, Heribert Illig made us question it. He made us examine our assumptions. He made us think about how we know what we know. Even wrong theories can be valuable if they make us think more carefully. You're living in 2025, not 1728. Those centuries you learned about in school actually happened. But maybe, just maybe, think twice before you assume history is exactly as you've been told. Not because of phantom time, but because history is always more complicated than the simple stories we tell about it. If this exploration of a conspiracy theory that challenges the entire historical timeline made you question how we verify the past, hit that like button and subscribe. We're investigating the boundaries between legitimate questions and conspiracy thinking, between evidence and speculation. Ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next examination of theories that challenge conventional understanding. Drop a comment with your thoughts. Could history be wrong about smaller things even if phantom time is nonsense? How much of what we believe about the past is actually certain? The questions matter even when the answers are clear.